what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another special episode of the Pivot Experience, where our aim and goal is just to get a little bit better each and every day. For those of you who are enjoying this from a visual standpoint, as you can tell, we have some very special in-house studio guests today. For those of you who are listening to this audio only, I've got two people here that I've known for a very long time. One of which, and I'm just on no disrespect, my man, I'm gonna start with the lady first because I know I've known her first, and I guess it's polite to say go ladies first, right? And so I have Miss Allexus to my right. I've known Allexus for quite some time. I think maybe since you were 16, 17 years old, maybe. Working at Chick-fil-A. Now, I didn't realize it. I really didn't realize it until I started saying it, but I think you were around that age, right?
I think I was about 17, 18. Yeah.
Okay. Well, sure. So I've known this young lady for quite some time. She has done a fantastic job with us during the time that I've known her initially. Now she's on a whole nother level. Her and her husband, Jarrett. I've known Jarrett also, and the weird thing is we met in the same place. They didn't know each other, I don't think, at the time. But Jarrett, as an officer here in Beaumont, I've had a chance to watch him just serve our community in such a great way as being a person in law enforcement. Now, I will say now, I know them in a different capacity. Every time I scroll down my timeline on Instagram, I see beaches and pools and travel here, travel there. And then I see, I feel like I'm in the midst of some real estate moguls. We're double-digit property owners here, property managers here. And I'm not going to try to steal that thunder. I'm going to want to give them the leeway to tell their own story. We have none other than Jarrett and Allexus here on the Pivot Experience. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of y'all schedule. I know that you guys lead very busy lives. You guys have other obligations outside of what we're doing here. And our audience, I'm sure, is appreciative of y'all taking some time out. And I'm going to say this on the front end. I think the information that's going to be shared here today is going to really help you move on to your next level. I talk from a position of leadership and business in one capacity. These individuals are doing business in a whole nother arena than I am, and they're doing an incredible job at it. So I'm going to be quiet for a little while and let them talk about who they are, how they've come to be, and we're just going to have a good conversation from there. Guys.
Excuse me. I like that introduction. I want to say I appreciate you having us.
Yes.
This is our first time doing a podcast of any sorts, and man, we just want to be, clap it up for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like a lot of people get scared to come behind these mics, and they get nervous, or either A, they get scared to come behind the mics, or they look at the mics and go, anybody can do that. But then when we press play, it's a whole other ball game. So, but you guys, I think you guys are going to crush it. I don't see any type of nervousness or nothing like that. I think you guys are here for it. But continue. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. So I'm Jarrett. It's my wife, Allexus. I call her Hershey. Oh yeah, I can call her that though.
Yeah, I didn't know it, and it's anywhere I found it.
We met back in 2017 in here in Beaumont, Texas. We actually met at the Ford Park Arena during an event. Every time this story is told as two different versions. You know what I'm saying? It's my perspective and her perspective. Right. But anyway, past that, basically got married the next year, 2018. And man, throughout the whole time, man, up until this point, just been, all about personal development, all about investing. Like that conversation was held way early in the dating phase, like just basically in that getting to know process. Most couples, man, to me, I feel like they're not talking about the things like marriage. They're just talking about current events.
Fun in the moment.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So for me, speaking for myself, man, like I saw that her character for me, I was sold on that. And then of course, as I was literally learning about these things when I first met her. So we got the opportunity to learn together, like as I was on my journey through personal development, learning how to invest, she basically jumped in the, sitting shotgun with me. And man, we went down this journey together.
Word.
But yeah, man. So here we are coming up on 6 years of marriage. And yeah, man, we've been it's been great.
So I want to poke it. I want to talk about something I think that you think is that I think is very important. That I think, and I know you already said it. The personal development piece. What in your life do you feel like drove you to make that a priority? Like, so, and I don't know, Alexis, because you speak to this, and I'm just gonna this kind of speak somewhat candidly here. It's like, I think to your point, Jarrett, a lot of people don't think about those things as important. Like, why did you think personal development is important? One, for you as an individual, and then two, in your relationship. Because I think there's two different dynamics there. That there's you as an individual growing, and then there's you guys as a unit growing. So walk us through what got you to that point? What made you think about, this is a priority in my life, and I want to make sure the lady in my life is on the same tip as I am.
Man, for me, honestly, I wasn't always on that. Like, it didn't happen to I would say I was like maybe 10 years in my career. I'm coming up on 15 now.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Clap it up for that. That's congratulations. Yeah, 15 years. I mean, I like that's admirable. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Maybe more like 9 years into my career, I would say. But man, I mean 9, 10, whatever. Man, I read this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? And it just it was a what do you call it? A paradigm shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just started seeing the world different. I started seeing my job, my career different. I started developing whys as to why I'm doing these things, right? Like, it's just more like, I feel like sometimes people, it's just a regular, they get up, go to work, get the check, pay the bills, wash and repeat over and over and over again. There's not really no like big goal or vision that they're working toward. I don't know, man. And I got an interest of real estate. Like, I got an interest in wanting to invest in real estate just out of nowhere. Like, I just, one day Google what is investing in real estate. And I think the very first guy I came across was a guy named Phil Pustiovsky, something like that. I shared him with you. After looking at all of his content, it made me think about, he brought my attention to Robert Kiyosaki. Now, Rich Dad Poor Dad, to me, it's not really a book on, I would say, on investing. I think it's more of like a paradigm.
Mindset.
There you go. So, I was just mind blown by it, which I'm sure everybody was anybody
who's read it, they all have the same. Yeah. Every person I've ever encountered that said they've read that book, it just kind of shook their core, kind of, And I've listened to some of Robert Kiyosaki's content and the way he approaches assets versus liabilities, the mindset around that. So it's very interesting conversation. Right. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. But yeah, basically, so as far as for me individually, my personal development journey. And it's still going, by the way. I don't know at all. Like, I just feel like you're always a student in that arena to me. Like, it's a never ending journey. It's like levels.
Well, in our business, we say, leadership is a journey with no destination. You continuously getting better. So you're echoing that same sentiment.
Right. And then of course, man, like for me, I guess on the individual side, to sum it up, it's important because, I mean, you have to become someone who is, I mean, to me, it just basically solidified why I'm doing things. Like it basically told me I'm no longer just doing things just because, like conformity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I have a purpose of why I'm doing these things. And then of course, meeting her, I introduced her like simultaneously while I'm learning, and it sparked her interest as well. And then
I want to kind of touch on that, because as you were talking, the one thing that kept just echoing in my mind, I was like, well, how did you, because again, normal relationships be like, all right, that's you, I'm over here doing my thing, I love you, I love spending time with you. How was that transition for you? Even if it was a transition, I mean, you've always seemed like to me the type to want to be ambitious and to want to do certain things, but a lot of us are. And in terms of actually doing the work or actually making it happen, that's a hard transition. So when Jarrett is painting the pie in the sky, hey man, I got this vision that, you know what I mean? Like, right. Where you are now, And I'm sure y'all been talking about where this point in y'all's life right now, y'all been talking about it for the last, you said 6 years, right? How was that initial jump for you getting into this world of personal development, real estate? I'm going to trust you. Or was it all just like that in the beginning?
So
Give me the fairy tale, give me the real.
okay. So the real is, from day one, we read Rich Dad Poor Dad together. So
We
I
actually
can
bought
set
two
up,
books.
right, we have 2 books, and we would set a goal every day. Like, okay, let's read chapter 1, and then tonight we can discuss it.
Your version is so much better than his already.
Okay.
Yeah, I just was, now I'm getting the step by step here. We getting the nuts and bolts here. Okay, you were the Instagram reel. I'm getting
I
like
didn't
you were
want to
this.
interrupt you.
No,
Hey,
hey, no, I'm just picking with you, man. But no, keep continuing. I'm sorry.
Couples, whenever they get together, they do the cute stuff, like what's your favorite color, things like that. And we were more discussing, okay, let's read this chapter of the book. Okay, what did you think about it? And so my mind was like opening up from day one whenever we started dating, talking.
So you mean to tell me, okay? I want to make sure I'm clear on this. All right. So like, all right, y'all made it 4-part because I'm trying to retain the information here. I made it 4-part because, hey, shorty, you want to go to the movies and read this book?
I mean, it wasn't movies. That's not intimate.
I don't know. I didn't. That was a placeholder. Whatever it is, I was gonna have dinner, coffee, and first David was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
I thought
That both of us are very driven. So goals is top priority. And I think like both of our paths kind of pushed us to want better for our future.
okay,
For me.
Yeah. I mean, it was just all kind of simultaneous, man. Like the first investment I bought the very first one, like,
1 month.
well, probably not even. I mean, it was like February when we met, just closed on that first deal. So I'm learning, like, I'm introducing that to her. Like, man, I'm reading this book and I just bought my first, property.
So question though, did you when you bought that first property? And this is kind of me poking a little bit on some off mic conversation. So when you bought that first property, did you feel like where were you at? Like as a young real estate investor, right? That's what were you owning that title in the beginning?
Man, I just had a goal. I said, man, and the goals changed so many times. Like, that's what's crazy. Like, my very first strategy, I don't know if you're familiar with, what's his other guy's name? Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
So I was doing his whole little,
Was it Financial Freedom University or something like that?
like that. I just thought,
Off that.
yeah. I mean, he's basically someone who educates his audience on eliminating debt, right? So my very first strategy out the gate, I was like, okay, I'm a principal, pay this thing down. Then I'm gonna look into getting the next investment. Well, I stopped learning about Dave's philosophy, and then I started paying attention to Robert's philosophy, and then I'm teaching her the same thing. As I'm learning, she's learning, right? And that's the thing. Like, we would have dates where we're sitting up there talking about, like, it'd be a lot of content on YouTube we watch. Anytime I find some content worth watching, I send it to her.
So there was never a window in time in the relationship.
Honestly, man,
Month 1, week 1.
That what?
That it was just not that type of time.
it's not always
It's
business,
always mixed in.
but it just always like it turns into that. We talk a
Well,
lot of
okay. Well, how do you?
yeah.
Hey, we're really off book here. How do you balance that though? Like okay, again, I get the joy of it is you guys find joy in the occupation, right? You find joy in the wealth vehicle, but like. How do you guys find balance? I think I have an idea, but for the audience though, who's listening, people who are listening to this are going, I'm gonna be real with you, kinda. They're like, they might be unrealistic. I don't know, every time, all the time, all the, And I'm not, and I know y'all, and I know that's not the case. And so don't think I'm like, y'all are like, I'm literally asking. But I think the people who are listening though, they're gonna go, well, I don't know how does that work for me. So let me I guess just like shift gears a little bit. If you're somebody who's existing in a relationship and you guys have been solicited to mentor, then I'm really kind of going off schedule here. How would you kind of coach somebody into developing this mindset that you guys have?
That's married or not married?
Oh, married.
Because I feel like married, when you're married, you have a purpose for your marriage. So
You think so? You think every person who gets married, they walk into it with that?
I think that they should. I don't think that they should just get married based on like love and like the cute stuff.
Yeah.
Because looks fade, that lovey-dovey is not there every day. So I think having a purpose for your marriage, like it's a end goal, or not even the end goal, but like
It's a direction.
Yeah,
It's a direction.
And it's
Yes.
a big picture.
All right. We know the road we're on. It made, like that's the thing. Like we went into it with that understanding. Like, and I feel like that's why some marriages may potentially fail. Like they put their attention on the wedding more than the marriage. I've seen that, you know what I'm saying? And then you look up a couple years later, they not to, I mean, it's just, and you actually, like, you ask yourself, like, man, I mean, what was the purpose? Did they have more?
But to answer your question, no, not every day, not every second of every day.
It's not
business.
And I can tell I've seen y'all outside, and you look like you guys have a blast, away from it. But I didn't want nobody to get confused with, like, well, who was it I was talking to? Where are they from here? Like, I mean, what? And so you guys are real people. You guys enjoy real things. You guys enjoy vacationing. You guys enjoy traveling. And I think a lot of the things that we're going to discuss and go into a little bit of detail is going to kind of speak to how you guys are able to enjoy such a full life. And so going back to that first property, you were talking about that. Talk about any nervousness that you had, any apprehension, like what fears did you have walking into that liability? Like, because I can only imagine, like, I got my house, and then you buying another house that you don't plan on living in. You plan on making money off of it, but you're managing it as a business. What was some of the not fears, but some of the apprehensions that you had as a young real estate investor?
I'll run the story real fast. So basically, I was doing a security job at the bingo hall. I was doing security for them, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a smartphone. It's back in 2017, right? I had a alert set up on my cell phone to Realtor.com. And I got an alert on my phone that a property had discounted significantly, right? So I'm looking, and it was like 40% drop from the asking price.
So is that so if I'm somebody who's listening to be a young real estate investor, is that still a thing to go into these websites and? Yeah. I'm gonna try to extrapolate some value here that you could package later for a fee, but I'm just gonna try to. If somebody go back and listen to this, then they'll get some of the game on the front end before y'all blow up all the way.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it worked for me, right?
Yeah, right.
Definitely,
Right. We still find deals on the MLS.
Yeah.
The MLS being like Zillow, Realtor.
Right.
Well, you built for this. I like that.
Yeah.
You see what the MLS example, this and this.
Right.
Yeah, you're on to something. Hey.
And so, man, basically, so when I saw the price drop, I called the agent I was working with at the time, confirmed that it did actually drop to that new price, and I told her to go ahead and make an offer, sight unseen. I just looked at the photos. It met my criteria. I had a criteria, which you should have, right? Know what you want, and it met everything, So after making the offer, she called me back. She said, offer accepted. The only thing at risk at this point was just $100 option. You have to put an earnest deposit and an option. The earnest is refundable. All right.
Yeah.
So anyways, man, after locking the contract, that's important too. So nobody else can come in and, bid and get it under contract. Then of course, once it's under contract, nobody can come in and take the contract.
And I'm assuming that was extremely important for you to give the green light to a deal on a property that you've never seen before. This deal had to have been once in a lifetime, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, and it could have been the wrong deal. But again, $100, that's so right. I mean, I spent $100 just, whatever, But anyways, so yeah, after looking at the property, evaluating, I had an inspection done. The deal was, pretty much a go. I mean, and that's actually been the best deal I've ever purchased in our entire portfolio, the very first one. The reason being is because it happened in 2017 was when we purchased it, or when I purchased it. And then 11 months later, or actually 9 months later, the property appraised like crazy. That was right after Harvey. Harvey hit in 2017. Property went crazy. And again, I was doing the whole Dave Ramsey in the beginning, principal paying down the mortgage. Principal paid down the mortgage like another 20 grand from what I financed it at. Long story short, learning about Robert Kiyosaki, about how to refi, take your equity, put it back to work. Went back to the bank, refied it, property literally doubled in value, took the equity, bought 2 more. And she's witnessing all of this as it's going down. So, yeah.
So wait, so are you as involved in it at that point as you are now?
I would always share it with her. Like,
you would share it, like of course. Husband, wife, of course. But would you say, oh, my bad. Okay. I'm jumping the gun. Gotcha.
It was his decision because it was his property.
Got it.
So to a certain extent, no. We weren't together seriously then, but I was learning along with him.
Awesome. There's a lot of value in that. Okay.
Right.
Awesome.
And I was interested. I mean, I was invested in my mind, but on paper, I wasn't as involved as he was.
Yeah.
That first property.
I probably didn't get too transparent until 6-7 months in. And by then I knew, what we've already gone through, that she was, most definitely going to be
the one.
Yeah.
The one. Okay.
Go ahead.
So that first property essentially multiplied into 3 over a 9 to 12 month period, where you were able to get it at a steal, see the equity rise, and I'm assuming post COVID appraisals have been nuts, as far as that. So I would assume the value of that for initial property is even greater than it was before. So we've gotten to 3 properties. We're at how many if you are at liberty to say?
Yeah, 10 right now.
10 properties with a goal of
there's no end.
Infinity. As many as we can consume.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, of course, the market right now, rates are stupid. So we kind of put it on pause, but we're still investing. We're just transitioning where we put our money, which is in the stock market right now. Heavy there too. But as far as real estate, it's doing its thing. We're equities building up while we're waiting on the rates to get back right. I'll go back and wash and repeat. Tap in that equity, buy some more real estate. We already know our next couple deals actually.
Okay.
We just got it on standby because of rates.
So it doesn't sound like there was any wrinkles in those first 3 properties. Little to no wrinkles. So give me a wrinkle. So there's properties 4 through 10. Is there any wrinkles in those?
Well, you're gonna have your maintenance. You're gonna have some turnovers. I mean, that's been the gist of
the last 7.
Call it wrinkles.
Yeah, the last 7 that we acquired, most of them, if not all of them, had tenants in them already.
Yeah.
So that was our first time. Yeah, that was our first time doing that, because our first 3 were single families and they were unoccupied.
Yeah.
So we were able to vet our own tenants.
Right.
But getting tenants that were already there, you kind of have to be more flexible because they're already on a lease and you have to finish out their lease.
Right. I mean, you just never really know truly what you're inheriting either.
Right.
I mean, the way we evaluated those units, we looked at the trailing 12, which is basically what the previous owner had on the books.
For the past
past 12 months, she kind of showed us, those tenants, how they paid. She did a good job documenting everything, showing us when they paid, if they were late. Now, as far as maintenance, they didn't really show us a list of that. They old school. It's a married couple. They in their 80s now, the persons we bought the properties from. And, they old school. They still knock on the door, collect the rent. So her husband, he would actually do most of the legwork on maintenance. So we didn't really have good documentation there, but the units, we examined them ourselves. We put our eyes on it. It looked good. So it met our criteria. Yeah, we knew we're going to have to do some cosmetic updating whenever the tenants move out, which is pretty standard anyway. Wasn't an issue with that. So that wasn't a deal breaker. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's a wrinkle.
Yeah, no, that I would say that would consider. I would consider that to be a wrinkle, and I would be remiss to not mention one very, very important facet to you guys' story that I think has to be highlighted. You guys are both still employed, aren't you?
Most definitely, yeah.
You guys, because I don't want to get people. Well, yeah, we did establish that, but I want to make sure that people know that you're still employed. Because I think sometimes people might hear that you got 10 properties. They might hear that oh, I'll be out. I wouldn't be working for nobody if I had X, Y, and Z. Talk me through, because I think this is very important. Yeah, I think this might be the most important piece of conversation, because I don't think we've even talked about this off mic. Talk me through, why do you guys still work? Why is it important? What are your thought processes around, and do y'all feel like there's a point where y'all gonna stop working?
Oh yeah. So yeah, why do we still work? Well, because we hadn't reached financial freedom yet, right? So it's back to levels, right? So first level is financial freedom. What is financial freedom for us? It's basically when our assets producing a passive income that covers our expenses, right? So our current lifestyle, right? Not the bare minimum, the current lifestyle. And then of course we build a desirable lifestyle from there, right? So for us, that's one reason why we're still working. What was the follow-up to that afterwards?
What's the end goal?
Oh, the end goal? Man, so, I mean, as far as right now, so looking at our portfolio, our stock portfolio, our real estate portfolio, I've done the math, and I have a good idea of whenever we're going to be able to, and we'll be able to finish within the next 5 years. We'll be able to both be financially free, that first target, 5 years from now. From there, we're going to compound our assets to continue to invest. That's never going to end. Even post retirement, we're still investing. We invest a certain percentage of our income. Today, it's a high percentage, but post retirement is probably going to come down some. But it's going to still be in perspective of what we want to allocate for investing. But basically,
Y'all, I'm sorry. I want you to pick back up. That I just want to say that I'm gonna need for you guys to comment, like, share, if y'all want to hear my man Jarrett come back and give us more of this, because I think in the last 15 to 20 seconds you really glossed over a lot.
I did, man.
You glossed over because there's a lot of things that I'm gonna assume you have not been formally educated on anything you just said. All of this is what you've picked up. All of this is what you've almost essentially, I know that y'all may have done some paid stuff, some paid education, but most of this stuff is information that's accessible to 99% of the people that are out there listening.
Yes,
right? And so I think I would be remiss not to try to plug and say you need the community needs you. Y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
Y'all, they need y'all because I think the thing is the level of thought that you guys have behind y'all's business, and it's not just the actual business. Y'all are a business, and I think y'all realize the fact that y'all are a business, and you guys are operating like it's almost to me. It sounds to me you have every second and every penny assigned to something.
There you go. Right. Exactly.
And I think that's the key driver when you realize that. Not the cliche of time is money, but really it is. Oh, yeah. It really is. When you really and I hear a high level of IQ from you from this standpoint, I think the folks need to hear from you a little bit more regularly. I apologize. That was just mine. That was just my little. Yeah. Continue on with that. No, you give us a little dissertation a little bit on personal finance and personal investing. Most people don't. When people hear this, when this drops, and I might be talking a little too much here, but when this drops, I think the level of content that we're talking about, they really not here. Right. Y'all got a market here that I think definitely y'all could do some things with. Continue on though.
Well, let me cut you off.
Before you give away too much. Go ahead. Before you give them too much, let me go ahead and tone it down some.
I want to just break things down a little bit because you talked about financial freedom and then you talked about desirable lifestyle. So with the teaching background, I like to break things down a little bit more to where everybody is more digestible. So with financial freedom,
But she wasn't saying you wasn't palatable.
Oh no,
Oh no.
no, I follow.
Basically, with financial freedom, it's a number. So you reverse engineer, like, okay, what do my bills cost? How much does it cost for everything? Like, add all of your expenses, add all of your income, and see what the difference is. To see, is it positive number? Is it a negative number? Do you break even? What ways can I increase my income, reduce my expenses? So I think that's the financial freedom part of it. But with desirable lifestyle, it's kind of like in school whenever they come give you the presentation of what's your dream life. Like, what type of car do you want to drive? What type of house do you want to live in? Do you want to travel? Do you want to shop? Do you want to eat out? Do you want to have a family? Different things like that. So really break down and engineer what that desirable lifestyle is for you, and then what that desirable lifestyle costs. And that's where you get that number from. Yeah. That's the difference between both of them.
And all those things, like a lot of the stuff was discretionary that she mentioned. There's a certain amount that you want to allocate to that as well, right? Everything is a certain, I literally have, it's a certain percentage of how much you should be allocating to each category. How much goes to housing, how much goes to investing, how much goes for taxes, food. Yeah, I have a little chart that I created on this, and it works. Now, of course, you can, readjust however it suits that individual. For us, we put investing as a top priority right now. And it's literally like, I would have to say we're probably investing at least 40, 50% of our income. That's how much money goes to work. Like, pretty frugal on the living right now. We got to put this money to work while we're getting this good, while we're young, while we still got time on our side. So compound interest can do its thing for us. You know what I mean?
Well, no, 100%. And there's not a lot of people, I think, in y'all's age demo who are that vested in that discipline. You said it. Because I was going to say, if you're talking to someone who is, let's say you say you made a chart, you've got percentages. If you're talking to someone who's severely not disciplined in these financial concepts, what is one of the number one things that you would encourage them to do outside of the literature, right? I mean, that's important, but like it's something tangible from Jarrett, not from nobody else, but from you. What would be the number one thing you would tell somebody to say, hey, if you're trying to get your finances in order, do this first?
Invest in yourself. Like, that's where it first starts at. You gotta, and what I mean by that is like, because people ask the wrong questions sometimes. They say, hey, I got $10,000. How can I flip it 10 times? Like, bro, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That's not realistic, but I would probably take that 10,000 and invest into educate myself, get with the right people who can maybe compress that learning curve. So it's not taking me, longer than it needs to get educated. Find mentors, find people doing what you already want to do. You got to get educated, and let's be real, you also got to have some kind of money coming in.
That's what I was going to
say. Yeah, like, a lot of people want to invest, they don't really have any income coming in.
Consistent cash flow.
Right. You have to have a source of consistent income coming in, because investing is a consistent activity. You have to be consistent. You can't just set it and forget it type thing.
Right.
Like, you don't just do it one time and you're good. That's not how it works, at least not for my story. It doesn't, so I would definitely recommend anyone wanting to, the question you asked, wanting to get into investing, learn, or invest in yourself. I believe the question you asked.
Yeah.
Invest in yourself first, okay? You got to do that. That's step one.
Okay. To me, the way that you do that is writing down your income and expenses, once again, so you can see black and white, like, what am I working with? Yeah. At the end of each month, do you have a positive, a negative, or a break even?
And I want to, and my thing is, I want to be very sure that people hear, she's not, you're not, neither one of you guys are saying a dollar amount. No. A dollar amount. It's all based on it's all based on where you're at. Right. I think a lot of times I think people are scared to get into investing or saving or anything. Transparently, I used to be like that as a kid. Right. When I was a kid, I say young adult. I'm like, man, if I'm not putting away a bunch of money, what's the use of saving? Yeah. But every little bit, it counts. You know, my dad would tell me a story about, I think, you know, dad had some hardship, and then he was like, you know, I got to the point where I just want to get disciplined and putting $10 a check away. Exactly. And that sound, and when you told me, I was like, said what? But it's he wasn't even disciplined to do that at one point. Right. But so that discipline, when you start with something small, or start with where you're at, more importantly, then it snowballs into the larger effect. And I just want to make sure people are clear. Like, I think a lot of times when people hear people talk from you guys' vantage point, I got 10. They're looking at the end game, right? They're looking at, well, not the end game, where you guys are currently 10 properties, 2 sources of income. Y'all do all these amazing things, but they don't understand it started from a small spark, and it kind of just grew into that. Go ahead.
Even with starting small, you're building that muscle memory. Mm-hmm. So you're creating a habit, correct?
Right, right.
It's important.
See, I always say the percentages, man. Like, back to that real quick. Okay, I always like to do this. This is just a little question I asked somebody once, and they this really didn't understand it at first, but I had to break it down and explain it to them. I said, okay, let's say you got 2 guys, right? You got John and you got, I don't know, give me a name, Paul. You got John and you got Paul. So John drives, you know, your Ford F-150. You know, that's his work truck. He got a note on, he pays $400 a month, you know, just a P&I, principal and interest. And then you got Paul. Paul drives, you know, I don't know, a more luxurious vehicle, whatever you want to put in the blank. He's driving that. He's paying $1,200 a month, right?
Crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, but
hang on.
I'm sorry, that was my intro. If you can't, go for it. If that's your percentage, just go for it. Okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
But this is the question I asked. I said, and I asked him this question. I said, okay, who's paying more? Who's paying more?
Well,
John paying $400 or Paul paying $1,200?
It depends on the income, I think.
So you got it.
It depends on the income.
Right. But see, that's the thing. I had to finish the statement. I was like, but, because at first he was like, well, obviously Paul's paying more. He's paying $1,200. I said, so you missed it though. I said, but Paul's income, let's say if that's 10% of Paul's income, which is what I put as a figure on your transportation, to whereas John's income, that may be 20-30% of his income at $400. So the reality is Paul's actually paying less from that perspective. But the dollar amount is what too many people get focused on, right? It's not the dollar amount of things; it's the percentage that you put towards things. Yeah. Right. So that's just like, I just want to throw that little thing in there real quick.
No. I'm just saying, Jarrett, I want to just continue to say that I think you have a very, number one, that there has to be a part 2. We have to do this again. Honestly, I think we had a whole like ballot of questions that I don't even think we got close.
We got to them.
We got close, and I just do that as a arbitrary thing, because I typically know when we get to rolling that it won't be that. You guys may not know how long we've talked, but we've talked for a good bit. Well, you see the time. You got right there. But I want to say, first of all, just thank y'all so much. Like, I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface on everything that you guys are doing, everything that you guys got going on. I really hope that we can carve out some time once again to be able to do this. I would love for this to be on some type of reoccurring schedule, whether it's once a month, once a quarter, because I feel like we need to hear more of, number one, celebrating y'all's story. We don't do that enough. We don't celebrate couples who are doing it, who married couples more specifically, who are doing it, who seemingly love each other for real. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna take the seemingly off. I think y'all, I know y'all do. And you guys are empowering each other, and I don't think you guys realize how much you guys empower other people. I think you're not in it for that. You didn't buy that first investment property with the mindset of, I can't wait to lift up other people. You were thinking about how this is going to help you and advance you and your potential future family. Now that you're in full bore with that family moving forward, I think you guys' story can do wonders for other people. And so I want to encourage you guys, even if it's not on my platform, to find some other platforms, maybe a little bit more polished than mine. I could tend to be all over the place sometimes, but continue to get you guys a story out. I think y'all have a great voice. I think you guys articulate yourselves very well. And I'm not trying to say that in a way, to say you say on the front end, this is your first podcast. And I would imagine you guys have been doing this for a long time. So I just want to encourage you guys to do that. I want to say thank you guys so much for taking time out of y'all schedule. And is there one thing that you want to leave the people today? Like, is there one thing that if we don't ever do this again, to just kind of put out into the air?
Consistency.
Stay consistent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna I'll be back.
Yeah.
When I come back.
I appreciate it. Okay, well, I'll take that. Well, hey, if you guys didn't learn anything from this episode, I don't know what you were listening to. I don't know how we made it 40 minutes in and you ain't caught nothing from these two beautiful individuals. I can't wait to have Jarrett and Allexus back on the show. I really would like to see us do something in a recurring form, whether that's just again, I know you guys are goal oriented and we're gonna deal with Alex for like 6 months, then we're gonna bounce because we'll by then we'll be then figured out what we need to figure out. Whatever that looks like for y'all, I'm cool with it as long as I get to get a chance to be on you guys, grab onto y'all's coattails a little bit and hang on for the ride because I'm learning. I'm learning about just different things in this area that I kind of want to get into. And so again, thank y'all so much. And until next time, TPE family, peace.
Take this mind of mine.